This is my account now.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and due to the nature of the guest today, we have Sendo DX over here.
Yo, what's good?
We're gonna be doing, a little video in his style, where we're just gonna talk while I play. This is the only time you're ever gonna see me play Sonic Heroes on this channel, so enjoy while it lasts.
Oh no, bro, why'd you pick that one, dog?
Because of the topic of discussion today, we're gonna be talking about a very controversial topic. Now, this was something that I saw a bit on Twitter a few days ago. It's kind of died down, but it's kind of a big. I don't know. I still have a strong opinion, and I want to talk about it with you because I know you like to talk about all this type of stuff. I see you talk about it on Twitter. Is there such thing as an objectively bad Sonic game? All right. I want to get your opinion on it first.
All right. I have a whole load to blow here. I got a lot of shit to say about this. So, I don't think the concept of an objectively bad anything really exists. Because especially within media, like video games, there's so much that's tied to personal experiences, personal desires. Like, I fucking hate combat in Sonic games. And, some people who love Heroes are like, nah, that shit rocks my world. Like, fucking tickling my balls type shit is so good. And, I mean, look, it's the best way I could think of how to say it. But, like, some people like combat. I don't fuck with combat. I don't really like it in Sonic games. Some people do. And when it comes down to it, a lot of things that I would personally perceive to be negative is all subjective at the end of the day. And people can have their own view of what culminates into the perfect Sonic game, and that's fine. Like, what am I gonna say? You're dumb?
Fair enough.
I guess I could get away with it, but I don't know, bro.
I mean, that's my go-to. You know what I'm saying?
No, real.
Okay. I agree. I think a lot of it just comes out of personal experience. Like, me, I really like Sonic Superstars. I know a lot of people don't really like it. They think it's kind of boring. I really like it because of the style of Sonic gameplay that I like, right? I think Sonic Superstars is more like my flow. But on that same coin, I think there are things that are done, not just in Sonic games, but in games in general, that are just not objectively well done. Like, when I look at a game, like, let's say, for reference, like Sonic Heroes, right? I don't think that the combat in this game is done particularly well, and I think there is a way where combat is done well. I think there's things that people look for in combat, and I don't think, Front Heroes does it particularly well. I don't even think it's considered combat. It's just you swap between characters, and it's just a different. In reality, Heroes combat really comes down just to different types of homing attacks. Like, if we were gonna boil it down here, but there are games that I think do combat in a better way. Like, as much as I don't really like Unleashed combat, I think it's more combat than Heroes. It's definitely. Like, it does resemble God of War, but just a bit done poorly, I would say. But for me, I think Frontiers for Sonic does combat really well. I think there are a lot of things that are really well done in Frontiers that make it good combat. But I think those things are objective. I think things like, enemy spam, lack of variety, lack of moves. I think those are things that are objectively bad when you're going to make a combat. That's another, like, I can go into this forever, but I feel like there are things that you can do in a game that are objectively bad that make it an objectively bad experience. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. I guess what it comes down to is, what do you define as objective? And I know that's like the most waxing poetic academic bullshit, whatever. But like genuinely, because at a certain point, yeah, some of the things you're talking about that can be done, objectively poorly, mechanics that really the widest audience would not like. At least within the Sonic community, there are some people that will suck that shit off, bro. Like, dude, oh my god, 06, talking about, like, 06 conversations, bro. This is important, bro, I swear. Like, the 06 conversations, dog, people will say that the glitches are actually a good thing. And as fucking crazy as that is, like you're
Boy,
fucking nuts, bro.
The way you feel about 06 is how I feel about Heroes, bro. Saying one of the excuses I have heard for Heroes is, learning to avoid the jank is part of the mastery of the game.
Oh yeah, that's dumb as fuck.
Let's be real with ourselves here, all right? But like, no, I think like, and also, bro, just real quick, bro, the take that people saying that Frontiers is on the same level of jank as 06 is ludicrous. I'm sorry, bro. That is just not true.
Oh yeah, no, that's fucking crazy.
It's just not true. No matter how much you want to spin it, it's just not the case, right?
Frontiers actually plays like a game. That's probably one of the
I can play it for
the
more than 2
positives I can give
seconds.
it.
But yeah, I think like, okay, you know how people say, oh, art is subjective,
Yeah.
right? And yes, that is true, but that's like, I feel like that's just a thing that people say to not hurt your feelings, right? Art is subjective, right? But there is some art that is pretty like objectively pretty shit. Like if you I think you've talked about this before. But like if let's say you have like your son or your daughter draw.
Dude,
like,
I was just about to bring up that analogy. I was like, I got a great one for this, bro.
Right? And like it's like, oh, it's so like, you know that video, like, oh, is that hyperpigmentation? You know that video? It's like, it's obviously shit. But like, you don't want to upset your daughter or your son, so it's like, oh, it's so nice, right? Obviously, right? But like, if it was a grown ass man doing that shit, I think it's shit. Like when looking at like the principles of art and what makes good art, it is objectively shit. I don't care about the hidden meaning or like, oh, it's this does so deep thing or here and there. I don't care, because it just, I don't like looking at it. And that's the same thing when like with all the hype moments and aura shit that people praise 06 in like Black Knight for. A lot of the game is not good. So if I don't care how much aura it has, I'm not gonna have fun with it, and I think it's a poorly made product.
I agree. I'm personally of the opinion that like objectivity is really defined by what the majority is thinking. So again, you know, with that example, you can, like, if your kid passes you a fucking stick figure, oh great, it's so good, haha. No one else is gonna fucking glaze that shit, bro.
That's
like,
what I'm
sorry.
saying. Exactly.
So like there is a realm of subjectivity that I think it's valid to be like, you like this game, all right, whatever, bro, like that's chill. But also, people that defend a lot of things that are considered by the wider audience as bad, like 06's glitches, that shit is weird to me. And I think that is kind of going against the grain just for the sake of it, and just like, to glaze, to be honest.
It's like, oh, I'm different, I have a cool opinion because I'm different. Like, no, dog. Like, bro, you're just delusional. I'm sorry.
It makes the experience, bro. It makes the experience. You
Like-
have to.
Like, I think there's a difference. Like, I think it's okay to like bad games. I'm not saying it's not okay to like.
Yeah.
I will admit, like, one of my favorite games, Sonic Superstars, I will admit it has issues, right? I'm not gonna deny those issues, but I'm not gonna let it dampen my enjoyment. You know what I'm saying? But there are people who actively deny that those issues exist and try to make excuses for those issues to try to play them off or like just pretend like they don't exist. And I think, like, why? I think it's like, I truly don't understand.
What's wrong with you, bro? What's wrong with you? Like heroes, bro? What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you, bro? Shadow accelerate, bro.
Take that man to the white room, bro. Strap that guy up to the. No, don't let him out. Don't let him out, dude.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just feel like, I think, and also, and it's those same people who are like when, again, I think Frontiers overall, like, you can not like the game. I think overall that game is pretty well received, right? We could agree that. And like, those are the same people saying, oh, people who glaze Frontiers are just ignoring the issues. But then when you bring up 06 and its bugs and its story being garbage, it's like, oh, what do you mean? It's actually better than this game or this. And they're the same people, like, you're ignoring the issues and you're making the game, you're like saying, oh, we should just ignore those issues. And ignoring those issues are gonna make a better product, or a worse product in the end. They do the same thing with their favorite game. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. And also, I feel like a lot of people will talk about like the potential 06 had and base it off of potential, which
Potential, man.
that's where Project 06 comes in, because like I've seen this opinion more than once, unfortunately, where it's like Project 06 is what the game was supposed to be, guys. It's what
But
the game was
it's not
supposed.
the game.
And
That's
it's like,
not
yeah, you
the
weren't supposed to be born, bro. You were an accident, but like shit happens, okay? Like, the game came out how it did. Like, just stop. It's fine, man.
Listen, bro.
It's fine. Oh my god. Sorry.
It's like
Shit
it's
pisses
just
me off.
It's just like real life. In order to improve, you have to accept your issues and improve on them. And ignoring those issues is not gonna help you. So I feel
Exactly.
like objectivity is very important because okay, let's go a little bit more controversial. I really don't like Lost World. I used to now I'm like,
Yeah, should I kill that guy, bro?
bro,
We should
listen,
kill
I'm not as angry about it. Like, I don't think it's a good game. I think as a Sonic game, I think it's objectively a bad Sonic game. But as a regular game, it's not bad.
Interesting. Okay, that I think brings it back to the main topic a little bit because what would you define as objectively bad mechanics for a Sonic game that
Okay.
are still good mechanics overall?
Okay, so I think the parkour is amazing in that game. But my issue with it is the game does not give you any actual real opportunity, minus like a few levels towards the end of the game, to really use it. So like the game is just wasting this mechanic that is so Sonic. It's so Sonic. But the game wants to play it so safe because it's trying to appeal to a Nintendo audience, and it's scared to like really hone in on this mechanic, which could have worked, which could have made an amazing Sonic game. But they decided to dial it down and work on these like gimmicks like the fucking snowball or the freaking auto-scrolling or like the freaking Tails Sky Patrol level. Like, why? You have such a great formula. And then also, the core gameplay itself with like the run button, I think that should not be in a Sonic game. I'm sorry. That should not be in a Sonic game. That's something that belongs in a Mario game. And that's why I think that game is more of a traditional platformer with Sonic in it rather than a Sonic platformer.
Because for me, right, like I see what you're saying, but I do think that brings back into question what objectivity means in this scenario, because I personally, right, I don't think it matters if there's a run button in a Sonic game, right? Sure, the game doesn't have momentum, but when is the last time a Sonic game had momentum, bro? Died in SA1, bro. It died in SA1.
No, it
SA1
didn't.
might as...
SA2.
Yeah, dude. It died in SA1, bro.
No, it's
like,
just what do you? First of all, that's
nah,
like,
bro.
have you,
SA1
okay,
did
listen,
not have momentum.
Have you not? Okay, listen. Generations has momentum. It
In what way?
The Bagnick bounce. It's in the game.
Yeah,
like,
you can also badnick bounce technically in Lost World. Like,
how?
Wait, what do you mean now? You jump on the fucking enemy and you bounce off of it.
That's not what the Bagnick bounce is. The Bagnick bounce
it
is
is.
when you're going at a certain speed and you hit the enemy, you retain that speed while bouncing off. That exists.
Oh yeah, you're right. My fault.
That exists in there's rail momentum in Generations. There is momentum in the early boost games. But the thing is,
it's so minimal though, and you effectively do have a run button. You effectively do have a run button with the boost.
And
how is it different?
Because the thing is, if you want to be that technical, there's technically 3 run buttons in Lost World. The regular run button and then the spin dash.
Sure.
Right? So the thing is, without the run button, you are going at one set speed the whole time. At least in like Generations or Unleashed, you can gradually gain speed. So like if you're without a boost, you can still go fast.
But my point is, why is that something that defines what Sonic is? Because for me, I don't give a shit that like there's no run button in other Sonic games. I don't think it makes that big of a difference to have a run button when in comparison to things like Frontiers, we already kind of have that. And the real interaction between that like walking speed to jogging speed in like Generations, Unleashed, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Like you're never going to interact with that because you're always going to press the boost button to go from a standstill to effectively the running speed, right? So
yeah.
My point is that like what you view to be objectively not Sonic, right, is something that other people will not feel the same way about because you can't define objectively what makes a Sonic game.
I think I think you can. I think what defines a Sonic game is rewarding you with speed by mastering the levels, and you get to keep that speed by being good at the game. And I think the run button.
Lost World does that.
Well, no, I don't think it does because I think how the game plays with its level design, and I think the run button is objectively bad because of everything around it. I think if they found a way to make the level design engaging in any way with the run button, I think it would be cool. But like most of the time in Lost World, I just find myself really just holding down the spin dash button. Like in the first world, I fucking Jesus Christ, I did a video because my fan base wouldn't stop pestering me to make a Windy Hill video, right? So I made a whole analysis on that whole world, and I found out in the 4th level you can get past the first 3D section without even doing anything. Like it's Forces level design, right? It's the same issues that plague Forces. The gameplay is most of the time it's just not that engaging, and I think because of that the run button kind of like is a hindrance because it just feels there to just slow you down even more, right? When the game itself is already not that fast or engaging, it just feels objectively, why is it there? Objectively, it just feels like you're slowing yourself down on purpose to like pad out the game. You know what I'm saying?
World 2 and beyond, I don't think that's an issue. Plus, Frozen Factory Act 1 or Zone 1 definitely has like a lot of things that interact with the run button in an interesting way with like the ice mechanics.
Yeah, I will say World 4 is my favorite for multiple reasons. I'm not gonna get into right now. Twitter knows if you know what I'm saying. But I will say this. I think Lost World, I think even in like World 2, bro, this guy Unleashed, I'll call him out right now, Unleashed loves to use that fucking desert level, bruh. That fucking desert level where it's like, oh, people say that Lost World has bad design. When, bro, the whole clip is literally just him running forward with the fucking spin dash. Like, there's nothing really interesting going on. Or in World 3, I'm sorry, bro, that game just turns into Mario Galaxy. Like, that planet with all the freaking, like, floating,
brother.
Bro, I'm sorry. There's nothing really... You have to follow the fruit at a... No, you have to make the fruit follow you at a snail's pace. There's no way to speed up the fruit. You have to make it follow you without this freaking it's boring. I'm sorry, bro. That's like... for a Sonic game, that's objectively a bad design. I do not want to wait around
We're gonna have to have a fucking Lost World yap sesh, bro.
Bro. I mean, it's indicative of the conversation. I think objectively for a Sonic game, I don't want to be waiting around for a papaya to come and flood open this thing. I'm sorry, bro.
But, here's the thing, right? That's not most of the game at all. And when we talk about what's objectively Sonic and what's objectively not Sonic, I think, okay, this is kind of reaching outside of the series a little bit, but I think it's a good example of my point, right? So when Breath of the Wild came out for the Zelda franchise, a lot of people were very anti Breath of the Wild because it introduced a new formula that they felt was
traditional Zelda, right?
Exactly. They thought it was very far removed from what Zelda is. Then a lot of people jumped in on that game, and that defined what Zelda was for them. So we have these two different sections of the fan base that think, well, this is Zelda and that's Zelda. And neither of them are really wrong, because both of them are Zelda. If it has fucking Zelda in the name, there you go, it's a Zelda game. And now we've had multiple games that have gone forward with that style. So you can't really define objectively what makes a series in a lot of cases, because there are going to be... Go ahead, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but I think there are things that add up in a game that make it objectively a bad game overall. Like, for example...
Yeah.
I love Breath of the Wild. I think the storytelling in both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom sucks. I think how they tell the story is not really interesting. I don't feel invested. But that doesn't mean the game is bad. I just think that one part... But that doesn't mean the whole game is objectively bad. When we look at Sonic Heroes, right? I think, like, the level design, objectively... Let's not beat around the bush here. It's lazy. It repeats level design a lot. There are levels that repeat level design. It's not really designed for you to go fast. It's designed for you to really do combat. There are mandatory combat rooms where you have to stop and defeat an enemy, which I don't think should be in any Sonic game.
I agree.
The control is clunky. It's not intuitive. I think the things add up to make it an objectively bad Sonic game. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but I feel like that leans more towards objectively bad game rather than objectively bad Sonic game. And I know that's very, like, it feels like it's like it's very nitpicky, but at the end of the day, again, I think it's really hard to define what is Sonic for people. And as much as I'll bitch about combat, as much as I'll bitch about how I don't like how slow a lot of Heroes combat is and how boring it is, there are some people that have gotten a lot out of it. You know, we've got that 50-50 split on this game for some reason.
Yeah.
And like,
I mean,
it's just, we can't define that. You know, it's all subjective at the end of the day, what makes a Sonic experience, and that kind of bleeds into like what, I mean, Sonic characterization too, but I don't want to get into that fucking...
Oh, Jesus, don't even get me started, dog.
That's a fucking crazy spiral.
But it's like, even for a Sonic game, okay, let's really strip it down to the bare bones, right? For Sonic, if you're playing a Sonic game, your main objective is to go fast, right? Let's not even, can we at least agree on that? That is the objective truth about Sonic.
Sure, yeah,
right?
maintaining flow through levels, going fast, yeah.
Games, I would say, if it's a bad Sonic game, then it's a game that doesn't do it well. And I think Heroes, objectively, there's so many things about that game that don't really make it do that good. Or if you want to talk about that, let's talk about 06, right? That game does a lot of things really bad objectively, and I think overall in the end, that really like it's just it's a bad game and objectively a bad Sonic game because it doesn't really, a lot of things don't really add up to keep the game flow really consistent or good at all. You know what I'm saying?
I do, but I can also, and this is devil's advocate because I fucking hate Heroes in 06, but like I have seen people argue in, you know, other directions and say, well, actually this fits in line with Sonic because there's like a score attack element that was present in the classic games and that's really cool, or like...
Oh man, but like, that was just like because the arcadey stuff, man. That's just like indicative of games at
I
the
mean,
time.
and some people like that shit, and some people associate it with Sonic, and yeah, again, I see where you're coming from, and I don't like... look, I'm covering my ass. I don't like Heroes or 06, bro. I'm not sucking their meat or anything, but I can see how people would argue that it fits in line with Sonic, and I have seen people argue that it fits in line with Sonic better than a lot of games that, in my personal opinion, handle flow and stages better and things like that. But it all comes down to personal preference when defining what makes a Sonic game function in a way that makes it a Sonic game. And I feel like that is very hard to pinpoint in a way that feels objective. Like, you can say it's an objectively bad game because all of these game design mechanics are culminating in this one shit show of a fucking experience. 06, shout out. But like, it's hard to take those and then associate it with, hey, these are the tenets of Sonic, and this is why it's bad. Because everyone's gonna have a different list of the tenets of Sonic, quote unquote, you know? That's kind of where I'm getting at, but I do agree that there can be objectively bad games where there's game analysis going into what you're saying and say, okay, this doesn't fucking work for X, Y, and Z reasons. But I can't in good faith, I guess, associate it with, hey, well, this doesn't work with Sonic because Sonic is this shit, you know?
I guess. I see what you're saying. Still, I don't know. To me, I think there is a definitive way. I think there is a definitive way to describe Sonic and how he plays. I think that these games don't really do it that well. So, and I think like, even if it's just like, oh, but I think it's a good Sonic game. I think like it's still a game. If the game is bad, it doesn't matter if it's a Sonic game or if it's a game in general. It's just a bad product. I don't think it should matter if does it define Sonic. I think it's just a bad product.
No, it's totally
I think
valid,
we should. Yeah, right. So I think in the game, like, again, this is such a cheap shot, but like when we were looking at, okay, let's take the easiest cheap shot, Sonic Boom. Just to round it off, do you think that game is an objectively bad Sonic game? Rise of Lyric.
I think it's a dog shit game, yeah. It's not good.
Do you think what about a Sonic game?
You know what? I high-key think it could have worked really well, even if it's conceptually very far removed from Sonic. It could have worked really well. If the game wasn't fucking trash, if it wasn't rushed into oblivion, like, it could have been fun. And I think it would have been a fun Sonic game.
This song would have been so fire if it had different music, different lyrics.
Well, okay, no, alright, but hear me out. If they actually made the game have depth and it wasn't a broken piece of shit, I think the concept had potential. Again, this is it's still a dog shit game.
Just like Project 06.
No, it's different though. I'm not saying Boom is good, bro. I'm not saying, well, actually, based on the concept, Boom is actually very good. Like, no, it's fucking trash. But I don't think it, like, the very concept would have made it a bad Sonic game. It had a good concept, and I like that kind of action RPG shit. I think could work with Sonic, but
I don't know, cause like, again, I don't play Sonic. I don't think most people play Sonic for a combat game.
Sure.
That's why the Werehog is like so revered. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it could have. I feel like that's why I love Frontiers Combat, because it does combat for Sonic really well. It's speed. It does combat with speed and agility. I think that's, if they want to do combat, they have to do it like that, because it fits Sonic to the build. That's why I think the Werehog. I don't know why they tried to copy God of War, right? When that's not Sonic, it's God of War, right? So I feel like, again, there are objective ways to do Sonic things that are not, even if stuff is not Sonic, there are ways to do stuff that are Sonic well. I think these games don't do, they don't even do Sonic things well. They don't even do regular game stuff well. So I think
I think
in the end, for me, I think there are objective ways to do stuff well, and I think a lot of these games that people say, oh, objectively, it doesn't exist. I think objectivity does exist in these scenarios. For me,
objectivity, I think we agree that objectivity can exist, especially with like specific game analysis things. But again, I just draw the line at objectivity for what Sonic is, you know? Because again, like you've talked about the Werehog a lot, and you know that's totally fine to be like, this is not what I came to Sonic for. But I've seen people argue that, well, actually, it fits within the score attack element of Sonic 1 and shit. Like, I've seen people say that it fits in line with what their perception of Sonic is. And that's, I think, where the subjectivity really comes into it, you know? I don't know. That's my personal takeaway, based on all the stuff I've seen. But I do see where you're coming from.
Okie dokie. Well, I guess that's where we're gonna have to end it. Why Sonic? What are you doing? Yo,
good game, by the way.
Listen, guys. Good game. Sonic Heroes, bro. Fucking